Hey everybody, it's Clair Edwards from Carolina Stair Supply, and today we're with the founder and my grandpa, Clair Edwards. So just a couple questions, I guess. What year did you start the company?
Well, I started, first of all, how I got into the stair business was that I was a home builder, building custom homes. And I went to L.J. Smith in Bowerston because they made trim for houses. And I went down there one day to pick up a load of trim when I saw a man and his wife building a curved stair. And it just intrigued me to no end. So I asked him how long it took to build a stair like that, and he said it would take 5 weeks. And I was so impressed with it that I decided I wanted to get involved in the stair business. So I started, my first company was called Heritage Stair. After I saw that stair, I decided I was very much interested in building curved stairs. Yeah. So I quit building houses and started building the curved stairs down in Bowerston at the old L.J. plant, which I had bought off of the widow of the man who started it. And his name was L.J. Smith, and he was 92 years old and got killed in a car wreck, and he was still working up to that time.
Wow.
We negotiated with his wife and her sister to buy the company, used the plant that they was using, and we started to build curved stairs. Brought a partner in with me because I was short on capital, and his name was Bernard Booth. And together we built the building of the stair company up from scratch. And one day a man came in, there was a salesman, his name was Jack Noyce. And he said he was looking for small companies like this that he could represent, and he thought he could sell a lot of our stairs. Hired him, and he really took off. He sold a lot of stairs. Mm-hmm. To the point where my partner decided we didn't need him anymore, and we parted ways. And I said, well, if we let him go, we're going to create competition. He's going to start his own company. Mm-hmm. Well, he wouldn't listen to me. Anyway, that's when I had been at LJ's for 4 years up at that point in time. So I left and I started Heritage Stairs up in Yorksville, in an old building that used to repair automobiles, and it had a high ceiling. And during the course of business and after a lot of improvements on building the stairs, we got the construction time down to 3 days to build a curved stair.
3 days from 5 weeks?
From 5 weeks.
Wow.
From there, we expanded out and was trying to sell in different areas. Yeah. And we hired a man that was supposed to be an excellent salesman, and we put him down in Atlanta, Georgia. He didn't work out. He was there for a year, and he never sold a stair. So I had to fly down and fire him.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, we changed names from Heritage to Carolina Stair Supply. And basically, that's where it went from there. And over the years that I had built the stairs, we built almost about 1,000 curved stairs, and a lot of them went to a lumber yard in New Jersey called Jaffe Stair Company. They was a tremendous amount of volume in our stair work. Although we did sell stairs all over the United States, I actually sold one clear out in Seattle. And the man came and looked at what we did, and he ordered one, and we shipped it all the way out on a commercial freight line. Every time we were building a curved stair, we had to build a curved wall out of 2x4s and then bend the stringers on the framework. And then we had router that we had an oval-shaped bottom, so it would follow the curve, and we routed our stringers on the outside stringer that way.
Yeah.
And finally, I decided there's got to be a better way of doing this. And in the meantime, I met a fellow in Cleveland who was retiring from the stair company, and he had devised a system of movable posts that you would lift it up and you could set different radiuses. And every 6 inches, and then to get to the right one, you just put blocks on it, so you'd have the exact radius. That saved an awful lot of time on framing and of the walls, and then tearing it down and all that sort of stuff. So then I come up with the idea that I could lay that stringer out flat on a long table and do the routing when it was flat and then bend it. So I tried that system, and it worked extremely well. Mm-hmm. So the next problem we had was when we put the return on, the tread return, we was using screws, and it would then we put a plug in to hide the screw hole. Right. About 6 months later, I was getting a complaint where they didn't like to have those two screws shown on the end of the tread. So I found a machine that was that used little platelets, and we would use a machine that would cut a groove in one end of the tread and then a groove into the return, and we'd use these little biscuits, biscuit joiners. Yep. And we glued that up and clamp it together and then sand it down, and it was made a really a nice stair. At that point in time, we were with our rail, we were taking 1/4-inch pieces of oak or whatever species we were using, and we would glue them up into a 2 1/4-inch by height of the rail, depending on what style it was. Mm-hmm. And then we would plane the bottom so it was smooth, and we had built a jig on the shaper that I could run and with into the profile knives and cut the profile onto the rail. Well, this worked for quite a few number of years, and then someone, and I don't really know who, come up with the rail that had the tongue and groove in it, and it was the bending rail. From there on, the bending rail took over the industry pretty much. Mm-hmm. But in the process of people trying to come up with ways of bending the rail without using the methods available, one guy come up with the idea of putting it in a plastic bag and crushing the fibers of it so it would be all, you could bend it every way you wanted. The problem is it didn't take a permanent form.
Oh, yeah.
It was just a mess of fibers, of wood fibers, so that didn't work. But it's worth noting that different ideas were tried at the time.
Right,
but,
right. Yeah, and that bending rail, we still
you
use
make that bending
today.
rail all the time.
Yeah, and even with the treads, the little biscuits, that's how we still make them.
Yeah, and then we started getting more and more into parts themselves, the fittings. Mm-hmm. And I remember the first time I saw a volute made, and over at L.J. Smith, they were doing it on a 3/4-inch plywood template that was very unstable, and it would ride against a little rub collar. If it would jump over that rub collar, it would jam into the blades and ruin the piece. One thing I didn't mention, that when I bought the company, there was 9 employees, and not one of them had all their fingers. Every one of them had at least one, and sometimes 2 fingers missing. Yep. And at one point in time, a fellow down in West Virginia needed a climbing volute, which there was only one company in California that made them, and he couldn't wait that long. And he wanted to know if I would carve him one. So I took his rise and his run. and took a block of wood and eventually carved him out a climbing volute. And I charged him $100, and I thought I was right up there at the top on my money making.
Yeah.
But
yeah, now those things sell for a lot more than $100.
Yeah, well, you don't get hand carved ones anymore either.
Yeah, right.
And then we would get, just like the stair I showed you there, where we would climbing fittings that I would have to hand carve, and we did quite a bit of that until we got into the sophisticated CNC machinery.
Yep.
And of course we used the Madison lathes that you set up and run the 50-15s and the different styles of the balusters. And now with the 5-axis, I guess you can do just about anything you want, can't you?
Yeah, on those we can do all the climbing volutes and all that.
Yeah.
So we can do little pieces of curved handrail and
yeah. Basically, from there, your dad joined the SMA, which gave us a lot more exposure, and the business did extremely well.
Yeah.
And it is what it is today.
Yeah,
basically.
I guess that's one thing. Like, did you ever expect starting a little business with? I mean, how many people were in the?
I had 4 people. So
4 people, and now it is what it is. I mean, that's a pretty incredible thing.
Yeah, but now we're up to what, 30-something?
Yeah, something like that.
It was a wonderful ride. I enjoyed every minute of it.